Appreciate you having me. As you know, it's an honor and a blessing always to speak to people, especially around the country, what you've been doing and what you've done up to this point as far as galvanizing the coaching community to coming together and continue to learn. You know, we're all in this business for one reason, and that's to help and mentor young people. And the only way we can do that is stay educated ourselves. And, I challenge everyone that's on here and anyone that's listening, just continue to grow as a coach, no matter what your situation is, no matter what you're in charge of, whether it's junior high, little league, all the way up to college. Just continue to grow in your profession, continue to help young people, grow and get better at this great game that we play. I know these are tough times and uncharted waters that we're dealing with, but we talk to our players all the time, control the controllables and how do you handle adversity. And I think we got to be the positive figure in their lives. Our players and our coaching staff need us more than ever right now. So my challenge to each and every one of you is reach out to your student athletes, reach out to each other, continue this galvanizing and growing in this profession. And I really, truly believe, I have great faith that when we end this whole thing, we're all going to be better because of it. So it's exciting. I'm pretty much going to kind of go through this tape. It's more of a skills and drills deal. Special teams is extremely important. As we all know, we say it, we preach it, we talk it. But the one thing I've been very fortunate in my career is I've been with a bunch of head coaches that truly believe that. It's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to set aside time and the passion for it. And I've been very fortunate working now for Coach Dorn at NC State. The passion he has for special teams, the time allotted that he puts aside to allow us to go to work, and our coaching staff. We got the best in the business, man, from the top down of guys that just are very passionate about young people and extremely passionate about being good in the special teams area. So as you're going on, if you're listening to this, clinic tape or drill tape that I'm about to go through, just understand this about special teams. The time put aside needs to be equal to offense and defense. If you want to be elite, you want to be good at special teams, you got to set aside the time to make sure that whether you have 115 kids or whether you have 60 kids on your team, that each and every one of them are equipped with the proper tools in their tool belt to be successful. Special teams is unique. You're going to have to use your entire team at all times. You don't know what week one guy's going to be called upon. And if he's not equipped with the proper tools in the tool belt, which is your job as a coach, then you're going to expect him to keep the standard without the proper tools. So as you go through this, just kind of think of the ways you can organize, you can efficiently run through practice, and making sure how many guys you have on your football team are equipped with these tools so you can go be successful on Friday nights or Saturday afternoons or even Sundays, depending on where you coach and who you are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the screen. I'm going to kind of flip around here. I'm going to put the drill tape up here. I'm going to go through, as Coach alluded to. He's going to field the questions. Please make this interactive. Excited to answer any questions you might have, but I'm excited to get started. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope that is quite clear there for everybody. As I said, Coach Todd Goebbell. I'm in charge of tight ends and special teams at NC State. This is just kind of my career in a nutshell. Very proud of my wife and my two sons. Did go to Northern Iowa and finished my career there. Crazy enough as it is, I'm working on my 20th season of coaching and going into my second year at NC State. This is just kind of my track record in some form or fashion. I've always been involved with special teams, except for the years I've coached quarterbacks and was offensive coordinator. I've been in charge or assisted on special teams, so it's been a passion of mine for a long time. Just talking about getting into this drill tape. This is something we do every day. I think it's extremely important as you as a coach, whether you're a head coach or assistant coach, is to put a specialist period in here. This is the way we equip all 115 guys on our football team with all the tools in the tool belt. So no matter if we need them week 1 or week 13, they know exactly what we're talking about. They're taught the base fundamentals that carry over from offense, defense, and then also to special teams. So let me kind of go through how we organize it, how we coach it. Vernacular is very important to us, buzzwords. So you can coach fast, you can coach efficient, and the kids feel confident about speaking things into existence. Our specialist period. This is a 5 to 7 minute period every day. It's extremely important that it's efficiently run. The drills are set up on time. It is a 1-rep deal. We talk about At NC State, one mission, one chance. Special teams is predicated on 1 rep, 8 seconds of perfection, and at the end of the day, you got to get your job done. There's no do-overs on special teams, and we treat that way in our practice habits. So as you can see, it's a 4-deal circuit. Loaded strike is the first segment. I'll have video for each of these. Loaded strike is a technique we use, all right? And the loaded strike, the way we define it, is a good solid football base, shoulder width apart with our feet, bending our knees, our ankles, all right? Our thumbs are up, our elbows are tight, and we're striking the breastplate of the guy that we're going against. The way we talk about pad level, this is something that I got years back and I'll never ever change. Everyone talks about pad level, get lower. Well, for the kid, what is that? What does that mean? Well, we judge it and we grade it based on hairline below the chin. So the loaded strike technique is bending your knees and your ankles. Thumbs are up, elbows are tight, striking the breastplate of the guy in which you're going against. And for great pad level, we want your hairline below the chin. So that is taught in that segment to everybody on our football team. They will then transition to a punt block technique, all right, and a scoop and score. There's 3 types during this series that we can do. We just do 1 per day, all right? If we're doing a dip and drive, which is the man side of a punt block, we talk about dip and drive, low and late hands, big eyes, run through the block spot, and then scoop and score, and I'll show you the techniques. Then they'll transition. Every kid will learn how to take a sky kick. Every kid will learn the technique to take an onside kick or a squib kick. And then we'll move to tackling. It's crazy to me that we have offensive guys on special teams, yet very rarely do they ever get a chance to be taught the proper technique of tackling. So every kid on our football team learns how to strike properly with good pad level. Every kid on our team learns how to block a punt properly. Every kid understands if they're in a crucial situation to handle a squib, a sky, or an onside. They know how to do it, and it's taught well. And every kid on our team knows how to tackle, either from the front, from the side, or also what we call a cheetah tackle, which is a swipe technique. While that's going on, our primary punt returners and kick returners are returning the football with a purpose. They're taught proper technique. They're given a situation and a mentality. And then at the end of the day, we want it ran just like they would be in a game. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to show you some video that goes with this description that I just gave you. All right, this is our block station. All right,
Coach,
this would be the
Coach, real fast, could you just turn the top of the screen is cut off a little bit?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Right.
Better?
Yes, sir, right there.
All right.
Thank you.
So this is a version of the block station. It's a 1-rep deal. We're working the man side. All right, what we saw, man side is blocking out. The zone side would be blocking down. So this guy with the bag is blocking out. That's the man side. We want our inside foot back. All pressure on our front foot. Always talking about no false steps. Every inch counts in special teams. But this is a dip and drive technique. We want to turn our back to the person that is blocking for us. We want to get as skinny and small as we can. That is called dip and drive. Now we talk about swat. We want to swat the arm or the illusion. If there's somebody like a shield there, we want to swat down. From there, we talk about low and late and big eyes. Low and late with our hands, big eyes. We want to run through the block spot. Now, a lot of people talk about, why do you do one-hand blocks? If you ever look at it properly, all right, you will always be longer with one hand instead of two. So dip and drive, get skinny, turn your back to the person that's blocking for you. Swat down. Now we talk about low and late hands, big eyes, and we want to smother the ball. We use soccer balls so we don't break fingers. The other reason is if the ball goes down, that means they smothered it. If they're swatting at the ball will go every which way. So that is our block technique on the man side of punt. Every kid will go through that drill. Now, this is very crucial. When picking up a football, these are things that are taught to every kid on our football team. If it is a still ball, a non-rolling ball, a fumble, or a block punt, we want to clear our feet, scoop the ball, and then take off. The clearing of the feet is crucial. Why do we clear the feet? We clear the feet because all of you have seen it. Opportunity to change the game. Block punt behind the line of scrimmage, scoop and score, and the kid kicks it. So again, it's a technique, it's a detail, it's a tool in their tool belt where they can be highly successful. So that's the block station. We change it up every day. Here's another dip and drive. All right, this would be head up on the punter. I didn't say A-gap. I said head up on the punter. There's too many different punt spots nowadays to say A-gap rushers. So if we're on the same side or head up on the punter, we have a same side block technique. We are low and late. We are big eyes. We are running vertical. We are offhand, one hand, stretch, running through the block spot. Now we want to clear our feet, scoop, and score. So those two different types of drills that we will do. They only get one a day, one rep. They got to make it count, game life. Moving on to the loaded strike situation. All right. This is transition to multiple things. This is blocking for running backs and pass protection. This is reroute technique by linebackers. This is also a technique we use on punt, kickoff return. So we try to simulate it day to day. This would be our punt technique. Step, loaded strike. What is loaded strike to our kids? Our kids can define what loaded strike is. Loaded strike is this: bent knees and ankles, thumbs up, elbows tight, hairline below the chin, strike the breastplate of the guy that's charging you. That's a punt technique. One rep. Make it count, make it game like, put some pressure on them. Here's another example of loaded strike used in kickoff return. We're using what we call a sink and soak technique. He is getting what we call return side leverage. Now he's working wide base, shoulder width apart, thumbs are up, elbows are tight, his hairline's below the chin, and he's striking the breastplate of the guy that's charging him. That is the loaded strike technique. Once again, it's carried over. Then they move into a sky onside. I don't have many reps of this, but I'm just showing you every kid understands how to catch a squib or an onside. In this case, it's a squib. His chest is over the ball. His base is shoulder width apart. His fingers are pointing to the grass, and he's keeping his chest and his eyes down. So if the ball takes a hop and hits his chest, goes to the ground, he can field the ball and finish. And then we talk about ball security in this drill as well. Claw, clamp, and chin are the three things. I can't remember past four. So when we're talking about ball security throughout the NC State program, we talk about claw the point, clamp the elbow, chin the ball. Everything in threes. Now our tackling station. And this is ball carriers between the tackle box, side of the ball carrier, back of his numbers. This is what we call profile tackle. This is a side tackle. We talk about stepping on their toes, smelling their breath, wolf pack wrap, high and wide knees finish. As you can see, this is a defensive player. This is a linebacker that does it for a living. He's getting taught all day long. Well, now you have offensive players. This is a receiver. He needs to be taught how to tackle. There's no way you can complain about a offensive guy not making a tackle if you do not teach him how to tackle and rep it daily. He's not as good. He's not as proficient as the linebacker was. We got to get him there through drill work every day. This is another part of this tackle. Here's how we talk about tackling. Frontal tackle. Finish at the moment of truth. Throwing your uppercuts. When you smell his breath, you can step on his toes. Eyes to the sky, chin and chest, wolf pack wrap, knees high and wide. Every kid on our football team is taught this. If you have expectations of your offensive guys, which they need to be on special teams, they got to know how to tackle, and they got to be drilled and done correctly. So this is the frontal tackle. Again, talking about stepping on his toes, smelling his breath, wolf pack wrap, high and wide knees, finish through contact, the moment of truth. Our last tackle that we teach, we talk about if you're out of control for some reason, do not overrun the ball. There's 3 no-nos in football. Don't ever overrun the ball. Don't ever get your face crossed and try to eliminate fat guys in space. Those are the 3 no's. 3 no's of football. In this case, you're at the point of no return. You might be out of control, or you might just have to take a shot. We work this drill. It's called taking a shot. We're going to swipe at the kneecap. We're going to swipe at the kneecap. The worst we'll hit is the calf. Swiping the leg, getting them down by any means necessary. We work this drill. When we move to returners, punt returners should never, ever, ever, ever be drilled without a guy in front of them or distracting them. Has to be a distraction. That's his world. He lives in chaos. He must concentrate in chaos. The way we talk to our punt returners, you catch the ball with your feet. You must get your feet in a great position to catch the ball. You catch the ball with your feet. Now, when we talk about their upper body, we want to talk about catching the egg. High hands, soft hands, high and soft hands, eyes to the sky, eyes to your armpit. Those are the techniques we taught. Catch with your feet, catch the egg, high hands, catch it with your eyes, look into the tuck, go finish. Always use a distraction technique. Kickoff returners. Biggest thing here, get yourself in position to square the ball up and catch the ball going forward. Two things, momentum going forward helps you just as a returner initially. It also helps with the timing of your return team. So those are the techniques we talk about with our returners.
Coach, got a couple questions here for you.
Yep.
First one is, how many periods or how long does this circuit take?
We get 7 minutes and 115 guys get 1 rep of each of all 4 units of all 4 drills.
And what are the kickers doing while all this is going on? Are they off separately or?
The kickers are over there with the jugs machine, and we alternate. We alternate punter, jugs, kicker, jugs. Now, we're very fortunate to have 2 jugs machine. I get it. But they are kicking it to the returners. They're working angle punts. They're working straight punts. They're working pooch punts. We change it up every day. Our kickoff guy is working, this is a 20-yard, 30-yard kick for that kid. We do not want full kickoffs during this time.
Cool. Thank you, Coach.
When we talk about Rangers, all right, we talk about punt return, all right? So these are some of the punt returns. One, again, we're a very big believer in part whole, all right? We want to work the drill work. We want to work in small segments. We want to build the tool belt. So at the end of the day, the end product is a mansion, not a shack. When we talk about Rangers, we talk about CASCAR, all right? Just as we go through kind of a checklist with our players, it's the call. Is it a blocker return? Alignment, off ball, normal, or leverage. All right, just the different alignments that we use. Our stance, are we in a 3-point, 2-point, or a 2-point stagger? If we are in a 2-point, we were always inside foot back. All right, and of course, the ball is the inside. Our key, is there a key? Is there a personal protector key? He gives you kind of an indicator that it's going to be snapped. Is there a stance tendency? Is there a split tendency, whether it's man or zone? Or the release direction. It anticipates as far as which way they're going to release. Assignment for our kids. Is it a rush? If you have a rush attitude, are you a hold-up guy? Are you an MDM, most dangerous man guy? They all have an assignment. And then your responsibility always and forever is it's 10 one-on-one matchups, and it becomes 11 once the returner has 1 to make miss. So you've got to win your one-on-one matchups. But we give it a cool deal, and we call it CASCAR. Our kids know that's call, alignment, stance, key, assignment, and responsibility. We go through this checklist with our kids. They should go through this checklist mentally before they take a rep. When we talk about the 4 phases of punt return, our get off, more than anything, we want a great stance and a mentality. We always want to give the illusion we're rushing the ball. The reason we want to give that illusion is it always makes people hesitate. So we want a mentality in our stance that looks like we're coming after the punt at all times. Hold up, we want to win at the LOS. For every second you hold them at the LOS is 5 yards. Just thinking of that when you're selling it to your kids. Every second you're holding a guy up at the line of scrimmage, you're guaranteeing 5 more yards in the return. When we talk about release, we got to find the returner. If you're in phase, I'll show you these types of drills that we do. We call it nudge and trail if you're in phase. If you're out of phase, we talk about bubble and chase. We want to give ourselves the best opportunity to finish, all right, with our butt in the hole. Finish, all right, give the returner a butt to run behind. That's his job. He's the one that makes the money. Make sure you're man on man, win your one-on-one, let the returner make his money. Climb, put the butt in the hole. If you have no work, you want to climb, and then we also use a high screen technique, all right? At the end of the day, no penalties on special teams. If you get a penalty on special teams, it's usually detrimental. So this is our drill work. Again, I think this is good as far as efficiency, organization, those things. We go in a daggone clockwise deal. Everyone starts and we divide them up, but we have a stance and start station, a dip and drive, which is our man, and up the middle. All right, we do not say A gap, but an up the middle, head up on the punter. Trim the fat, which is our zone side technique. All right, and then piercing the outside of the shields and the inside of the shields. And I'll show you clips of those as we go through. Stance and start, as I talked about, we want our inside foot back. We want all our weight on our front foot. We want a good forward lean, and we want to act like we're coming to block a punt. From there's a lot of carryover as we go through drill work. When we come off the ball and we're in a hold-up mentality, we want to use the loaded strike technique. which is thumbs up, elbows tight, hairline below the chin, striking the breastplate of the man we're responsible for. So there's carryover in the drill work, but this is our stance to start. Mental weight on our front foot, inside foot back, no false steps, key the ball. Everybody's eyes, peripheral, the ball, the ball, the ball, the ball. That's what we go off of. Here's another look. Their inside foots are back, all weight and mental weight. We talk about mental weight. You got to think all weight on my front foot, no false steps. We want to come off on the snap. We do not want to be delayed. Again, talking about the loaded strike technique we talked about earlier. Thumbs are up, elbows are tight, hairlines below the chin. Graded as a good rep. Now they're going and working a nice base, which is shoulder width apart. Once we move to dip and drive, now everybody gets work at the man side. All right, guy blocks out, that's man. Guy blocks down, it's zone. So in this case, he's blocking out. Again, we are angled toward the block spot. We're angled toward the block spot. We want to work a good low rip. We want to turn our back to the guy that's blocking us. Now we talk about sprinting through, not to, through the block spot. When we block through, we run through the block spot. We want low and late hand with big eyes. Low and late, big eyes. Those are the key words as we talk about blocking a punt. We are always and forever a one-handed block team. The reason for it is you're much longer with one than you are with two. And if you ever watch a person block a punt, they overlap their hands anyways. So at the end of the day, you're still blocking with one hand. So that is the man side. That's the dip and drive. Here's another look at dip and drive. Good job by number 10 here. No false steps. Does a good job of getting skinny. There's the dip and drive. Turns his back to the guy that's blocking him. Sprints, and he's low and late with that hand. And you can see the ball go directly down. That means he's smothering the ball. He's not swatting at it. He's not hitting it. He's smothering the ball. He has big eyes. He sees his target, and he finishes through the block spot. Now moving to trim the fat. Trim the fat is for the zone side. That means you're anticipating somebody blocking down on you. Again, inside foot's back, all mental weight on your front foot. We want to do a great job of being skinny here. We want to turn our back to the guy that's blocking us. Again, sprinting through the block spot, low and late, big eyes, running through it, not to it, and finishing. Here's another look. Again, watch his feet. He's at a stagger. He's at an angle that's directly to the block spot. There's no false steps. Pushing off that front foot. Gets skinny immediately. Turns his back to the guy that's blocking him. Sprints through. He's low and late. Look where his hand shot. Right from the belly button. Low and late. You don't want to have your hand out now because it's going to slow you down. Sprint, low, late, big eyes, run through. Now, this is something unique. Based on the punting situation nowadays with rugby punts and people punting the ball in the A, B, C, we used to say A gap, same side. Now we say if we're head up on the punter at any time, we are a same side block. We do not want to cross the punter. You will end up roughing the punter. So if you are head up on the punter, you're going to stay same side. Stay with the same technique. Now you're reaching off to the side slightly because you want to stay vertical. Slightly off the side. You can see his stripe move on his helmet. That's how we know where his eyes are. His eyes move, but his body stays vertical. He's off to the side. He's one hand. He's low and late. He has big eyes, and he's finishing through on the same side. Here's a look. This is a better angle for it. Okay? Great stance. He's head up on the punter. He stays on the same side. He's low and late. Look at the stripe turn. He stays vertical with his shoulders and his demeanor, but his stripe turns. I mean, his eyes are on the ball. He's low and late with his hands, and he's finishing through the block spot. The last thing we teach, again, a lot of teams are going to the shield punt, no longer a pro punt type world, is you got to know how to defeat shields. Shields are still a soft shoulder. When they come together, they go butt to butt, all these huge humans, all right, you got to find a way to pierce them. So we talk about a dip and drive technique. He dip and drives, he'll dip and drive and pierce the shields. Once you clear, extend low and late.
We'll ride it until the wheels fall off.
Got a couple questions here, Coach.
Fire away.
Yes. Do you angle your return side to create illusion of clock?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Do you angle your return side to create illusion or of block?
Yes, we do at times, depending on if they block down, block out. But we try to make our blocks and our return leverage and attitude look the same as much as we can.
Okay.
But we still got to align to a sign. Execution's still pertinent.
And another one here, Coach, when you call a block versus a return, is it more based on op time or situation?
Well, we do a pretty good study of, just like you do on field goal block. If there's a fish, what we call fish, if there's somewhere that they've been hurt before with either a scheme or an actual person, or op time are the things we look to far as if we're going to take a demeanor of a block attitude or return attitude going in. So it's op time, possibly maybe a scheme deficiency or a fish.
Yeah.
Good to go, Coach.
All right. So again, just these are your three bears. You know, sometimes you send bigger guys in there, they'll use button press. I'll show you later what button press is. But at the end of the day, if you got a small guy, you don't need him running into a 300-pound shield. So we try to make him get as skinny as possible through the shoulders of the shields. Again, working low and late, big eyes, all techniques carry over. That is our block circuit. Again, every kid that's on our punt return team will work that technique. We try to go pair and a spare with our special teams when we get into this drill work, but every kid will get the circuit work, so they actually get to learn all these techniques. I'm going to move on into our return circuit, starting with stance and start, which is the exact same thing as we saw earlier. So here is the second phase. So our stance and start's the same. Middle weight on our front foot, our inside foot's back. We're working a loaded strike. Well, this is what we call lockout and steer. This is holding the release at the line of scrimmage. What we talk about is a wide base. They've already loaded strike. Now we want to use our post hand and our guide hand. Our post hand is the hand that is to the side in which he's trying to release. So in this picture, number 2 and number 47 are holding the release. They're on the punt return team. The other 2 are on the punt team. They're trying to release to our right here on this screen. That right hand of number 2, that right hand of 47 is what we call the post hand. They're posting them up. We do not want to allow them to release to the side in which they want to. So that's your post hand. The left hand of 47 and 2 are our guide hand. They're the control hand. They're going to get ready when he changes direction to get ready to capture him one more time. So you'll see right hand's your post hand, left hand's your guide hand. You're keeping a great base. You're holding the release. We call this lockout and steer. We're steering them. Now we'll work in the other direction. Now the left hand's the post hand. The right hand's the guide hand. Trying to do a good job of forcing and holding the release. Here's a good tight version. He's trying to release left. We're going to post him with our right. We're going to guide him with our left. Now he's going to change directions on me. We're going to post him with our left. We're going to guide him with our right. Again, for every second you hold him at the line of scrimmage, you're guaranteed 5 more yards to the return. So we tell our guys all the time, fight your tail off and lock out and steer. Hold the release as long as possible. Be as aggressive as possible. Now, eventually they're going to get off. You hope they never do, but they do. So you got to have a tool in the tool belt. So now, once they get a release, they eventually get released. Now we want to do something called stab and lag. Okay, he won the release. Now we want to stab him. What's the stab part? We want to be violent with our inside arm, and we want to widen them. All you're doing is you're creating lanes for that guy back there with a gift. So you want to widen him with your inside arm. That's the stab part. Now we're going to lag behind. You guys have taught 2-man. It's a 2-man technique. You are on his backside hip. All right, and we'll talk about the technique next. All right, but that's the stab part, and then there's the lag part. You want to lag behind. Here's the stab part. All you've done is he's got the release he wants. Fine, you've held the release for a long time. Now we want to stab his butt for width. That just created a wider lane for the guy that likes to make his money. All right, and then we get into a lag part, which we'll talk about nudge and trail technique here in a minute. So that's your stab and lag. Now, what goes with stab and lag? You stabbed them, now you're lagging, now you need another technique. We call this nudge and trail. We want our inside arm closest to the guy we're responsible for. We want him in a tricep fit. We want that hand on his tricep with his eyes on the man's hip. The reason we want it on the tricep is that puts him in a trail position, a 2-man position. The reason we want the eyes on his hip is when his hips drop, your hips must drop. So you can see 49 and 47 are on the punt return team. They're in a tricep fit. They're lagging behind. Their eyes are burnt on his hips. When that guy's hips drop, your hips drop. Now you want to get right back into a nudge and trail which is a tricep fit, eyes back on his hips, eyes back on his hips. And this is a good drill. Instead of running guys all the way down the field, it's a part whole circuit. Again, tricep fit, eyes burn on your responsibilities hips. When his hips drop, your hips drop. Now get back into a nudge and trail and a tricep fit. Now, that was an in phase. The nudge and trail is your in phase. You feel comfortable. Well, there's not every time you win an in phase deal. All right? So sometimes you get beat. You got to have a technique that you're out of phase. All right? And this is what we call bubble and chase. The minute you're out of phase, you better find the returner first. Take an angle to the returner. Why? Because guess where your defender's going? Your guy's going to the returner. So in essence, you are working to cut him off. Now you go right back into a loaded strike. You stop his charge. Now you're getting back into a nudge and trail. Hands burn on. Your eyes should be burned on his hip. And that is an out of phase, and that's called bubble right there. That's a bubble technique. You're bubbling to your responsibility. And that is your 4-part of your return game. We do a lot of segment work. We do a lot of pod work. And the reason is you get more technique work. You get more time with your kids. And all you're doing is you're putting all the proper tools in the tool belt. So when you come together, your kids are very mentally prepared, physically prepared, and ready to put it all together. Any questions before I move on to the next deal? Okay. Seals. All right. Seals is our kickoff return deal. All right. Speed to power. Just talking through things we talk with our kids, keys to success. First and foremost, watch the ball kick. Watch the ball kick. See the laces. Laces usually tell you a lot. Laces usually tell you a lot. The other thing we talk about are frontline guys don't leave until the ball's kicked. All right? People like to get the little middle dribble on you, the short angle squib on you, but your front line's got to be extremely disciplined. Don't leave until the ball's kicked. We work a sink and soak technique that's usually from our frontline guys. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right? But it's a sink and soak technique. When we talk about transitioning from speed to power, I'll show you that on film. We talk about staying square. Don't give away where the return's going. Stop his charge, which is a loaded strike technique we've talked about multiple times here in this clinic. We always want to have active hands and feet are undefeated, always and forever. Active hands and feet are always undefeated. We always want to maintain return side leverage wherever the return's going. We want to keep that leverage on our responsibilities. We always want to protect first the cross face. If he attempts to cross the face, we call it running the numbers. I'll show you the technique. If a guy tries to cross your face, we want to run the numbers. And then if there's at the end of the day, sometimes you can't run the numbers. Speed to power cross face. If the defender still tries to cross your face, return side shoulder. Okay? Stay on the near shoulder and watch him across the field. At the end of the day, when you're one-on-one for 8 seconds, good things happen. Here's kind of how we pot it up. All right. Again, we don't do the whole kickoff return all the time. We try to build the return into drill work. So this would be a middle return for us, but we put it in pods so everyone gets more reps, not a lot of wasted time, and we can work more detailed technique and those types of things as we go through practice. So this is the back part. We're working a half field drill. Sometimes we use the jug. Sometimes I'll throw it. The things we talk about in what we call the rhombus, this is a kind of a middle return where the 2 front guys there, as you see, that are 15 yards away, they're responsible for the 5s. The 2 guys closest to the returner are responsible for MDM. A lot of people run this return, but here's what we talk about. We want the 2 guys closest to the returner 7 by 2. 2 yards outside the returner, 7 yards deep in a perfect world. Everything in kickoff returns about numbers and spacing and timing. So spacing and timing is what we're trying to get to where this guy gets a great vision of what's happening in front of him and plenty enough time to make moves and hit the scene. It's like a car crash. The minute the car's crashed in a NASCAR race, you got to go blowing through the smoke. And that's what we're teaching our kickoff returners. So our first level is 7 by 2. Our second level is 15 by 2. We think that's the perfect spacing and it gives the perfect timing. So you can see the other thing we talk about in this is everybody's on a string. if you pulled the two guys to the right, they should be able to be pulled to their responsibilities on a string. Same thing, the guy to the left. All right. The off returner, we never have the returner make the call. We always have the off returner make the call. Once it's secured, he is the go, go, go call. All right. Now, once the go, go, go call is made, all right, again, always want to detail on our work. Working those guys 7x2, making sure they feel the perfect fit, the perfect space, the perfect timing. Now it's the go, go, go. Now, once they're off, the front two guys are responsible for the fives. The back two guys are MDM guys. We want to go hat in hands, loaded strike, and we talk about long striding a guy out. That is what we call a long stride. Hat in hands, loaded strike. We all know what hat in hands are. We all know what the loaded strike is now, and we want to long stride them out, MDM guys, and then at the end of the day, there's a car crash in a NASCAR race. There's the smoke. Now go run through the smoke. Things, believe in the return, see the return, and then blow through the smoke. But that's how we kind of work the back end so we can get a lot of reps as far as spacing and timing. Here's one more look at it. Again, ideally at first level, we're looking 7x2. The second level, we're looking 15x2. Off returners calling the go, go, go call. All right, we're working hat in hands, loaded strike, long stride them out. Again, don't stop your feet. 8 seconds of perfection. We score a touchdown. So that's the back end, how we work that drill work. Now, depending on the return, all right, we got kind of a 3-part series here. This is the sink part. There's the soak part. So we're sinking. We're now shoulders square. We do not want to give where the return's going. We're working to return side leverage. I'll talk about that in a minute. All right, but we are sprinting back. We do something a little unique. We do sprint with our eyes back. We believe, because of the difference in kickoffs, that with people motioning and twisting, we can still get back with speed, and we can also get leverage based on the way our responsibilities coming down. So that's the first part to work. Now we work with our responsibilities, depending on what the return is. All right, so you can see 21, 38, and 46. They're sprinting back with their eyes back. This is a middle return, so they should all have return side leverage, which in this case is the right shoulder. I'm speaking from the kickoff return team of the responsibility. Now they are working squared shoulders. They don't want to give the return away. Square shoulders. Now they're working a stop the charge, loaded strike technique. Thumbs are up, elbows are tight, hairline's below the chin. They're stopping their charge. Sink, soak them up, stop their charge. Loaded strike, hairline below the chin. So that's the second phase of it. The next phase, we work this drill. You've now synced. You've soaked him up. You've stopped his charge. You've loaded strike. Your hairline's below the chin. Now he's going to be taught, get to the return. So he's going to try to cross your face. Well, let's give him a tool in the tool belt if he's going to cross his face. This is what we call running the numbers. You want to take your inside hand, which in this case, because the return is up the middle, you're on the left side, you're going to take your left arm and you're going to rip it through. I tell these guys, by the time you rip it through, you should feel wind by your ear, and that should be the returner. Because the reason he's trying to cross your face is to get to the return. This is called running the numbers. So again, a part, whole deal. And that is how we teach kickoff return. Those are the drills we use. We try to build the return within pod work so our kids get plenty of reps, plenty of attention to detail, and making sure we can get this thing done properly without taking a lot of time as far as guys running down and wasted time of things of just running. Last thing I'll go over is our Delta, which is our kickoff team. All right. We talk to them all the time about speed, attitude, effort, and finish. This is a will and want to football team. A will and want to football team. Speed, attitude, effort, and finish. These are the zones we talk about. Our step one is our takeoff. That's our stance. All right. We talk about bursting out of our stance. Don't roll over. All right. We always want about a half yard behind the ball when it's kicked. Why? So we're not off sides. Step two is your speed and backdoor zone. We'll talk about that in a minute. Our step three is our button press zone. And then step four is our finish zone. All right. Keep the returner inside and in front, come to balance, make a tackle. Now, again, we're a very pod-oriented group. All right. And we also like to rhyme. So we want kids to be able to remember the techniques. So we're very good. We're trying to be very efficient with our wording. The first drill is 15 or more backdoor. If you're 15 or more from the returner, you want to use a backdoor technique, which is going butt side. So how do we drill it? We drill it at about a 30-yard deal. We don't try to run them down all the time. We very rarely go full kickoff group, but we work this every week, these 3 drills. So this is the butt. Okay, this is 15 or more from the returner. You're going to backdoor. You're 1, carry your speed into the drill. We want these guys at full speed. We don't want a lot of choppy steps. Once you get to your responsibility, you think he's going to block you. Now you got to find what butt side is or back door. 15 or more back door. This is what we call a stick and stack technique. You want to stick him. You want to step on his toes. And now you want to stack them. All right, so there's the stick. There's the stack. Now the stack part, overemphasize taking that near leg and wrapping it around the guy that's trying to block you. The reason for it is this is a great drill to grade because you want to get right back on top of this guy. If you take 2 steps and you're outside the framework and the guy that's blocking you, he will be able to recover. So this drill gives you great visuals of guys that do a good job. 32 does a great job. I'd like him not to chop his feet as much. 24 here to the left is excellent. Stick, stack, get on top. And then what we do is we always talk about guys finishing with a near shimmy. Near leg, near shoulder shimmy. All right, not coming to balance, but shimmying, which is part of our tackling drills. So this is 15 or more backdoor drill. Again, we do this every week, these 3 deals. Now, the next phase of it, so you're 15 or more backdoor. Well, now you got to give them a tool in the tool belt for 15 or less. We call it 15 or less button press. You can't beat your man backdoor. All right, you're too close to the returner. You can't overrun the ball. Now we got to give you a technique. 15 or less, we want a button press. Button press is a loaded strike with a long stride. We want a butt press long stride. In essence, loaded strike to long stride, get extension. All right, and I'll show you a different angle from this. But now, we are a 2-gap deal. We are button and pressing. We are getting extension. We are running through the blocker. We do not come off our block until the returner declares. Once the returner declares, now we talk about these guys violently. Not just pushing the bag, violently snagging down and away from the returner. So if you see the guy in the middle and the guy on the left, they snag their bags differently. The guy in the middle snags his bag to the right. That's down and away from the returner. The guy to the far right of the screen is now down and away to the left because it's away from the returner. And then we want a near leg, shimmy compress, what we call shimmy compress, keep our shoulders square, don't get caught in a crossover, and then tag off on the low hip. So those guys, button press, long stride through. Do not declare until he declares. He declares. We want to violently snag down and away, and we want to use a shimmy compress technique, keeping our shoulders square and tagging off on the near hip. The guy furthest from the return, over here to your far left, you do not want to overrun the ball. We call this an overlap player. He sees it declared. I can't overrun the ball, so I need to take a touchdown angle and get in front. And that's called overlapping. Here's a good look. See if I can get it back here. Here's a great look. 1, 2, and 3. Right down the middle. 15 or less, button press. Get extension. He declares, you declare. Snag violently down and away. Near shoulder, near leg, shimmy compress. Keep your shoulders square, tag off the low hip. And then this backside guy is what we call an overlap player. Don't overrun the ball. Take a great angle. And we always, in these drills for safety purposes, we always want to come off the back hip so nobody gets injured. So the last piece of this, we call stack throw by. So 15 or more, we want a back door. 15 or less, we want a button press. Sometimes you get caught in no man's land. Sometimes you're trying to stick and stack and you get caught. Sometimes you're button and press and you get caught. Well, the one thing you can't do is you can't overrun the ball. So you got to give your kids the tools in the tool belt to not overrun the football. So this is a great look. You're trying to stack a guy, and that returner declares, well, you haven't got him stacked yet. So now we want throw-by technique. How do we teach throw-by? Your near hand slaps the near butt cheek of the defender that's on you. The reason we aim for the butt cheek is because you'll hit the lower back. You tell the young people lower back, they'll hit the upper back. If you can lock out his hip by tacking his near butt cheek, then you will lock out his hips. That will give you more power. It will also drop your hips low. So showing this you can watch the middle guy right here, number 31. The key to this drill is this. You want the guy that's being the defender. You want him to keep top shoulder leverage. You want the guy that's running down on the kickoff team to run to stack him. This is not predetermined. This is a reaction. That's the thing you got to get through to your young people. Do not try to predetermine this. Make it a reaction. So you're pumping your arms. You're driving your arms. You're trying to do everything you can to stack. That redetermined declares you can't overrun the ball. Take your near hand to his near butt cheeks, throw him by, front him up, ready to roll to make a tackle. And that is the three main phases of our kickoff team. Before I move to the last part of this clinic, which is SWAT, is there any questions up to this point?
Coach, nothing right now, but once again, guys, if there are questions, just feel free to drop them in the chat box. But we're good right now, Coach.
Okay, great. All right, SWAT is our punt team. I just want to show you a couple drills we use for our punt team. All right, this is for the missiles or the gunners or whatever you would call them in your program. All right, we're just working, again, a dip and rip technique or a dip and drive technique, just trying to get them skinny off press, working on staying skinny. You know these corners are very talented. They're good at riding you down. They're good at getting yourself in a phased position. So we're trying to teach them skinny, keeping that low rip, grabbing that towel, staying tight to the tire. All right, just little details within our work. Here's an aerial view of it. Again, working a good clean release. We don't get big into stances here. We want them to take a comfortable stance. Sometimes we square them up so they have a two-way go. But a lot of our receivers just like their normal stance, but we want them to get a clean release, be skinny, use that dip and rip technique. We have the towel there for a reason, just so they get that we overemphasize staying skinny, all right, and our shoulders turned to give no surface area for that DB to work off of.
Coach, got a couple questions just came in.
Yeah.
First one, do you have grade sheets for different special teams, if at all?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We grade results, and we're a big 1-0 football team. I think sometimes grading can get very complicated. I think sometimes we grade, but we grade in a 1-0 mentality. You get a 1 if you get your job done. You get a 0 if you don't. We'll coach the details. We'll put notes and those things in the kids' categories of notes to tell them, hey, you can get better at this technique. You can be a little lower. Your hairline wasn't below the chin. But we're in a result-driven business, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, if the kid gets his job done, he gets a 1. If he doesn't get his job done, he gets a 0. We'll coach the techniques and those things, just like the win-loss column. We try to take that mentality all the way through.
For sure. Is there? It was also asked if any of those grade sheets would you be able to share?
Not with notes on them, but yes, I can share the blank grade sheets.
Okay. A couple more here, Coach. What is the blocking assignments on the kickoff return middle block?
5-4-3-2 to the left, 4-3-2 to the right by the front line.
And then can you let me see on punt block? How do you decide between a 3-point stance and a 2?
I tell you, that's a $1 million question. That's a great question. We are a 2-point stance team. I think so many people play in a 2-point stance, and then all of a sudden for one rep of 8 seconds, you're asking a guy to play in a stance he's not comfortable in. So I've done this. I've done whoever plays in a 2-point stays in a 2-point. I put defensive ends to go block a punt. I put him in a 3-point because that's what he lives in. I really do believe, I think we all have beliefs, but at the end of the day, you better do what you need to do to get your kids comfortable to get the best results.
Absolutely. That's it for now, Coach. Thank you.
Okay. Here's another example just of working our what we call our missiles, all right, or some people call them gunners. It's just working a guy working in phase with him that he's fighting his tail off the stack and then working tackling. Again, we have receivers that are missiles. You can see a red jersey running back right here. I think it's extremely important. As many times as you can get these guys to understand how to tackle, properly tackle, and also stack a guy, it's extremely crucial in that position. All right, just talking about some certain things we can do with punt. We are off in our punt. Everyone talks about coverage lanes, netting the football. I think there's a million different ways people have taught this. We teach what we call 5, 10s, and 15s. It's off man marks, not landmarks. Man mark would be, of course, the returner. All right. And what we want to talk about is we want to talk about inside shoulder leverage, outside arm and leg free. So let me repeat that. We talk about 5, 10s, and 15s, 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards. Okay, I'll show you the drill we use. But when we talk about leverage in the returner, we want inside shoulder force, but we want our outside arm and leg free. And this is how we create the net. I think it's a good way of teaching your kids how to create a net without talking the net per se. When you're running down, we talk about our first out, whoever gets out first. We don't designate who's 5s, who's 10s, who's 15. It's first out becomes 5, second out becomes 10, third out becomes 15. And you say, Coach, well, how do you get them into the net? Well, one, the depth of it, 5 yards, 10 yards, 15. And then we tell our guys never run behind the same color jersey. So whoever the first out gets 5. Well, if there's a guy that's getting out that's directly behind that 5, well, then he better get outside the 5 because he can't run directly behind. So he becomes a 10 with a little wider. Same thing with the 15. Now, the one thing we do is at the end of the day, whatever side you release on is the side you have to cover it on. So as you can see, this is a 5, 10, 15 drill, and this is how we work it. Again, not working a full field deal, trying to get a lot of reps. And so they understand it. And I'll talk about the tackling here in a minute. So we just do a little cone drill. All right, these kids like it. It's short spaces. You can get a ton of reps. You don't wear them out. Okay, so there's your 5, 10s, and 15s. No one's behind the same color jersey. All right, so I'm going to give you kind of the tight view here as they go. So now, first out's 5, second out's 10, third out's 15. There's your net created by those rules. None of them are behind the same color jersey. Everyone has inside shoulder force. Now, once we get to this position, we talk about how we leverage just like a defense would. The first guy that is attacked by the returner is to take a shot. Number 2 is taking a shot. It looks unique. He's not getting his head across the bow. This is to simulate not having perfect leverage. He is taking a shot. At the end of the day, he's going to make the play or spill the ball. He's a tackler or a spill the ball guy. 21 becomes the contain guy. He is force contain. I didn't say contain. Contain means softness. Force contain means he's going to keep a strong inside shoulder. He's going to keep his outside arm and leg free. He's turning the ball back. He's either going to make the play or turn the ball back. So 2, returner declares to you. Take a shot or spill the ball. 21 is responsible for turning the ball back or making the play. Outside shoulder, outside arm and leg free. Force contain, turn it back. Everyone else is overlap players. Don't overrun the ball. Overlap. Come off the back hip, create the tunnel. And then our punter and our middle shield are contain players. They're 20 yards from the football. The middle shield is always to the right. Our punter is always to the left. And they are vicing the football. They're going to keep it on their inside shoulder and vice the ball. And that's how we teach coverage in regards to our punt team. There's our center. He has no responsibility. He is a gunner or a missile. I blow the whistle, they run. I blow the second whistle, they go. They see first out, second out. You can see them adjusting based on what they know, what they've learned. 36 will now declare. Number 2 will take the shot. He'll make the play right there. If not, 21 is an outside shoulder or leg. He's a force contained player. He's to turn it back. Everyone else is overlapping, working off the back hip. We call it near leg, near shoulder shimmy. Everybody finishes with good bent knees, and that's the way to cover. Gentlemen, I truly appreciate your time. I'll definitely open it up for any questions. This has been an honor and a privilege. I hope everyone got something out of this. If I could do anything at NC State for any of you guys, you can see, don't reach out or don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to help you out in any way.
Absolutely. No, this was awesome. And, once again, like I said, I had the opportunity to, see this presentation before. So I already knew it was going to be a really good one, and I appreciate you for jumping on, Coach, and giving us that presentation, man. Obviously, I don't know if you can see the chat, but a lot of really positive feedback, which is great.
I appreciate anybody that tuned in.
Does anybody else have any last minute questions for Coach? Obviously, he shared his contact information. So if there's any questions that come to you later, obviously, please, feel free. But if there's any last minute questions here, please hit the chat and we'll give it a minute or so. But you don't have to go. Can you see the chat, Coach?
If we have plenty, I didn't see it. Sorry.
Okay. Kickoff. You don't have to go into tiny detail, but do you work all? Coach Gann, when you talking about the kickoff coverage, and on the kickoff coverage, Coach, he says you don't have to go into a ton of detail, but do you work all 10 down, or do you have a fold and fit scheme?
In kickoff?
Yes, sir. In the kickoff coverage.
We won't give too much away, but it's all 10 down, and everyone has their rules and landmarks.
If Coach has any punting or field goal questions, is it best to email you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll just make the schematically and punt. Drill work, any technique work, I'm all in. Punt scheme wise, that kind of stays close to the vest.
For sure. And Coach is asking if you wouldn't mind sharing your contact information again.
Yes, my email is tmgoebbe@ncsu.edu. Or let me do this one more time real quick here.
Can you also, we're good right there, Coach. So there's Coach's contact information. If anybody has any follow-up questions, you have for him in regards to this. But Coach, once again, man, thank you so much.